In this clip I would like to have a look at the evolution of kata from a traditional versions through kind of 80s version to 90s version to 2000s version, and the direction of going towards the competition style kata and what changes have happened. Personally, I'm not a fan of the competition kata. I do appreciate their skills and amount of work going into them, but this is not my cup of tea. I prefer the approach focus more on applications instead of on the aesthetics. But everybody's got their own different taste, and as we can see, it's a hugely popular movement, and there's huge amount of competitions around, and lots of young people especially enjoy them and challenge themselves in this type of activity, which is great. It's much better than sitting on a sofa, and I'm very happy that people go and do competitions, learn those katas and keep the tradition going. Although, like I said, it's not my cup of tea. So let's have a look on what changes have happened through the years and how the kata evolved.
In the first clip we see Higa Seiko sensei doing the Goju-ryu Super Rinpei kata, and as we can see in the footage, although he is a bit elderly, it is a very natural kata, smooth movements, relaxed, no restrictions, no pose. He's just going through the motions, moving around, stepping naturally, quite high positions and narrow positioning, flowing movements of the hands, pulling, pushing, nice movement in the hips and the back. He's not overly straightened, he's leaning forward. Everything seems to be very sensible, and for me, impression is that he knows what he's doing.
If you're more like me and you really enjoy the applied version of a kata and you are interested in the moves within the kata, I've created a couple of courses on Seipai, Naihanchi, and the connection between a Naihanchi and Tensho. If you would like to explore those, link above and link in the description below.
So in this clip we can see Morio Higaonna sensei doing a Super Rinpei as well. And this clip is much later than the previous one. I guess it's around 1980s. Those been recorded and published. And straight away we can see that in this video sensei is more upright. The stances are much higher. The back is completely straight, and the legs as well. When he's moving here, you can see that the legs are quite extended. The movement of the hands is very dynamic and wider than the previous video. They're extending more. There's nice dynamic work with the hips through the stances, and all the turns are super dynamic. Sensei Higaonna here using a lot of tandem, so the hips moving. You can see that how he's adjusting and going through the motions. There you go, bringing the hips up, adjusting his structure, and there's no like fancy movements. The nice deep positioning. Kata is a little bit slower than the Higa sensei, but it's a very nice traditional execution, and you can clearly see that there is a flow in it, and it's not for show, it's just to perform and practice whatever the application are in mind. And I really enjoy this kata. For me, a little bit too upright, but you know, everybody's got their own execution, and who am I to criticize Sensei Morio Higaonna, who's the legend of the Okinawa Goju-ryu and beautiful kata. Here we got the Ryouki Abe sensei. I think this is 1998. Again, Super Rinpei kata, and we can see that it's katas entered into the competition. So we got the bit louder announcement of which kata gonna be made. The strikes are much more dynamic, positioning upright. You can see that they're starting to over-exaggerate the movement, so the judges can see exactly what they're moving. There is a bit of a longer gaps between techniques, again, to bring that attention to the stances, and dynamic hands with the slow down movement, so really exposing their structure for the judges to score points. Kata's getting longer, so the performance is more kind of different speeds and different tempos, so the judges can have something to pick and put the points on it and making it more favorable from one another. So to distinguish yourself from the other competitors, you need to give it your own character, although there are rules for speed and execution and what's what in the kata. So very low stances, like I said, every technique's got that gap so people can see. They make dynamics, so they make more sound with the gis, and got the more impression of the power within. You can see that they started using the ki quite loudly, but it's not over exaggerated yet. And overall, really nice kata to watch, but the impression is that it's just for the performance, so it's for aesthetics, and it's a little bit over exaggerated for me, but beautiful performance from sensei, and you can see that they put a lot of effort into it, and yeah, great performance. Here we got the Damien Quintero sensei doing the super MP as well, and we can see that the modern kata is kind of very over exaggerated and like a anime. So they're coming in, they got the angry facial expressions, they scream the kata name, which completely puts me off from watching the clips. The movements are very paced, so very over exaggerated. You can see here he stepped in and slowly lifting that hips up. Every movement is to display so the judges can see it. It's hugely over exaggerated. Moves are super wide and slow, and the speed of the kata is really tamed. Between those fast movements of the hands, the super wide stances, and there's so many slowdowns that it is just spectacle, right? They try to play on emotions of the judges and over exaggerate that technique, so it looks better. For me, it looks like it's just artistic expression and have no grit to it. It's never been done with the applications, although some of those kata are shown with application, but again, application are a artistic expression of it and not tested. At least that's how it looks for me. It's not taking anything from the athletes' training and preparation. They're just following the rules of the competition, and it seems to be that all going into that very dramatic scene. So maybe Kata's gonna do full circle and come back to his root in dancing, and now he's gonna be seeing more dance. But it's like you see the facial expressions have to be in certain ways, so you have to be focused. Seems to be angry, screaming up and performing those kata. Super dynamic with a lot of breaks, like you can see here. It's kind of a little bit too long waiting there for me. If you done that in the application, people would respond, right? There's no time for waiting so long. But if you enjoy a spectacle, this is a super eye-pleasing way of doing the kata, so people can understand. But I don't like those facial expressions, like in the old Japanese samurai movies or in the anime. It seems to be going that way. It doesn't really suit me. But like I said, you cannot take anything away from those athletes that spend hours and hours preparing and working on each movement in a specific way, you know, keeping the head in one position so everything looks more dynamic and better, and putting that work in for this aesthetic spectacle with a lot of screaming and over-exaggerated movements. But you know, people liking it, it's growing in popularity, so I'm in minority here with my bunkais and applications and kind of tested approach.
As we can see, there is a huge difference between kata performance and the evolution of it. Let me know in the comments below which kata is your favorite and what execution you prefer, more traditional, application based, or a competition one. Also, I would much appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, notification bell, so you can see our future videos. And till the next time.